Alright, welcome to another flight video. So, I'm going to kind of continue my journey. Well, I was thinking, so the main highlight for me is going to be this here. I've been to this. I've not been to this part of France. However, there are a couple things on the way. And right now, I'm recording this on the first off day of the Tour de France. So the Tour de France has been going on since the end of June. And it started actually in northwest France. Now, the first couple of days was like going through here, but it looks like the second or probably the third stage started around here and kind of went through here. So I thought maybe we could see a part of that, just kind of give you a sense of their the area itself. And then on the way, we can finish in Mont Saint Michel. So, but anyway, music might be a little loud. I'll be doing some changes here in a second once I get into the main game. I'm also probably gonna change the weather. Sometimes I wait till like actual good weather days. You know, I just like doing the live weather, but lately it's just been like every time I'm free or able to record, it's always raining or stormy in this region lately. And even like during the Tour de France, it'd be like it's like weird. It didn't look like it was raining much or stormy, but it was like cloudy, then sunny, cloudy, sunny. You know, and it's like, you know what? I'm gonna edit it when we get in there. Just make it partly cloudy, just something where things are visible and not a pain in the ass. You know, for like a long haul flight or where it's not really sightseeing, it's just kind of enjoying the sights from a distance and not like trying to get low and stuff. So, anyway, kind of just a little brain fart. So, but yeah, I decided let's see if I can finish this, because this would be the next, my plan, I'm just going to end around the Mont Saint Michel, and it's going to be really cool. It's kind of like a medieval town fort, you know, so I'm really curious to see that. I'm also recording this, it'd be early evening right now in France, so it should be still plenty of sunlight, but it's going to be kind of low, so it might be some pretty lighting right here, too, when I do the switches on the weather. Oh, yeah, we're doing switches on weather. Oh, yeah, screw that. Alright, so we're going to need a few minutes and get everything going here. Or, sorry, not a few minutes, a minute or two, and we can get this ball rolling again. These are the two loudest. It's, you know, I don't want to just say my voice. It's just more like, you know, what's the best balance of where things are, you can hear it, but they aren't overpowering, you know, everything else. All right, let's see how that works. That should be fine. First things first. Oh. That sounds fine. All right, and then the more important thing, as much as the rain is cool, you can't see it. Let's see how this looks. It's not bad. Scattered or few? I say scattered. I like the lighting in that. Yeah, that looks kind of cool. Man, this is not loading. A second. I mean, I don't play on high by any means. I'm more of a medium just with my computer. Not have it completely be a toaster. Yeah, it just won't load. Never looked at that before. Alright. Nah, that's fine. Alright. No big deal. Alright, let's take off. I actually use this plane too often. It is faster than most of the other propellers. So that's why I thought about using it. Because the other ones are about an hour flight total, and it's like, no, let's try and get this. This speed will probably be closer to an hour, just we're talking, we do little circles and stuff, and going off the path, but I didn't want the video to be like, let's say 90 minutes and 2 hours of a slower plane, so. But yeah, we're in the northwest coast of France right now.
And a 200, continue for east departure.
This is probably the only decent-sized airport I found out here.
Tower
It's like,
200, continue for east departure.
I mean, I know they're using the AI to create that, but it just shows 2 gates. I have not looked much in this airport. I know, like, I doubt I'd be landing this plane in this video. I'm probably just gonna kind of close it out after we kind of get to our destination. The main reason I just did not see, there's like one airport I think I saw in the region. It's like backtracking after I pass Mont Saint Michel. And then I'd be kind of like, it's kind of like the next one. Like after this video, I'm going to do Normandy, and I'll go down a little bit. And again, there's not many airports there, so probably like a small airstrip I'll be flying out, and then just kind of see if I can land it somewhere, or figure out what would be the best approach from that. So, but no, I think this is pretty good. The scattered clouds. That way we get some different lighting and stuff. The sun's breaking through over there.
Airspace frequency change approved.
Could probably keep this around, let's say 3,000 to 4,000 feet.
200, frequency change. Airways approach AMA 200 is time Beechcraft King Air 2 miles north of Gitana.
So I left my old custom thing on.
Request flight following.
These clouds might still be there. What's up?
Airways approach.
I do like you can do this in the middle of a flight. So, yeah, let's just do that. I want some.
ANA 200.
And a 200 radar contact 2 miles northeast of Gopavis.
Yeah, you can actually get really, actually, let's see if we can mess with that. Snow depth. Yeah, that. Watch this. I can just raise them up. Let's see if that does anything. No, it did nothing. Alright. Oh, that's it. Oh, that'd be fun. Now, anyway, so, as I said, I didn't go in this area of France, but the climate and region are similar. Actually, a lot higher than I thought I wanted to be. Let's see. Probably keep this mainly. Anyway, so, this area is very rural. There's not really any large cities out here. A lot of towns and villages, obviously. And maybe some decent-sized city, maybe a decent-sized / city town might be 50, 60,000, but nothing big, nothing like we saw, like Nice, or obviously Paris later on, or Toulouse, and then obviously the one I didn't mean to, the other good-sized city in France would be Lyon. So I never went eastern France much, outside of Nice, which is southeastern France. But, to give you a sense, this area, and it's kind of like the last video was we're flying, there's not much, it's not really a lot of, as you see, just a lot of little villages and towns and stuff. And this is where they started the Tour de France, like this region. And they kind of circled around, went, pull up the mini map here. Yeah, it started somewhere in here, it went south, then here, and then, like, I think this is the 3rd day, I think they're here, and they kind of, like, actually, I think it's up here, I'm sorry, kind of went down. They did not go up to here, and then they started moving towards the east. And what the Tour de France kind of does, they do a mix of, like, the stages will vary from hilly, flat, mountain, and then there's 2 time stages where they're just kind of like individuals go out and get the best time. They only do that twice in the Tour de France. I think one was up north. I think it was like the 4th or 5th day that did the time stage. And it's not long. It's only like 30-ish minutes, so it's like kind of a short day for them compared to the other routes where they take about 2 to 3 hours because they'll be biking, man, it's like, 70 kilometers. It's like a lot of miles. So, anyway, I thought it'd be kind of neat to kind of fly around this region. I marked I created a custom flight plan that just shows 2 unique things. Are I think was part of the France update. I'm pretty sure because they're not in the original game. So I thought it'd be cool to kind of see that. Hopefully we're not too high. I didn't expect to be this high, but like the downside of these faster planes are more for like they're meant to be higher. Especially kind of like this, you know, it's like I'm at 32%. I mean, keeping it very stable, yet still like, it wants to stay in that 50,000, you know, feet range, 58,000 feet. So I'll try to lower it a little bit, because anytime I start messing with, like the speeds, and then the altitudes start changing, and it's like it's hard to get back in that nice consistent. Yeah, look, it keeps climbing, even though I'm lowering the. Yeah, this is. Cut the engine, see how this does. Let's see if I can get down into 5,000 or 4,500. Now you see, here you go. Now fortunately, there's no city marker, and I do... Actually, we'll do one last pause. I want to say that should be on. Yeah, so... According to even though it's a town or village there, it's not big enough to be warranted a city for flight sim. All right, now we're gonna turn it back on. No, I don't want to go back up. Just want to keep it nice and steady. Let's see if we can pull this off. I don't want to cut the engines, maybe. You see, I'm looking at that altitude. I can actually do it in here too, even though it's a little easier to read. Zoom in. That said, we're not far from our first stop. I better get a little to the left. But again, as Steve's saying, very rural. You can just tell there's a lot of farmland, so it's kind of. I'll be brutally honest. I don't know what wine is made of. I'm sure there's wineries and stuff. Because you know, no, maybe you do. The thing that makes France, to me, what makes France unique, and kind of why I also like Japan a lot, is for a country of its size, which is a good-sized country, but let's say compared to the U.S., it's like the size of Texas, roughly, I would say. So, you know, you think of Texas, it's a big state, but this is a whole country. This is not just a state, it's a whole country. And there's actually different more regional influences, dialects, you know, a lot of history between the different regions. And that also applies to the wine, and because the climate varies a lot. Kind of like in Japan, where I talk about in the past, where it's like you go up north, Sapporo, it's like a very cold area. Cool. Well, now it's like summer. It'd be in the 80s, but it's like when the winter gets cold, they can do ice castles. And you go to like Okinawa, the southern edge, it's like Hawaii. You know, that's all the same country. It's just one long chain of islands. In France, you know, up here, this climate is very similar to the UK or the British Isles. You know, it's off the Channel here, Atlantic Ocean. It's a lot cooler. Temperate, like you look at the temperatures this time of year, they get warm, maybe in the in the low 80s, but that's it, you know. But then the winter doesn't get super cold; it'd be like in the 50s, so it doesn't change much at all. It's a very temperate climate, you know. So, but then you go like I talk about southern France, it's more air, it's more dry, Mediterranean. You know, kind of like you expect in parts of like Southern California. You know, it's warm the year round, and with that climate, that also changed the wine. So you think about. You know, like the type of grapes it can grow, and you see that in Italy as well. You know, like from Tuscany to Sicily to up north, the climates vary quite a bit. You know, and with Italy, more of like part where where they are in kind of the Mediterranean, and then the mountains up north and so forth. And with France, it's more like they go from like the English Channel, northern France, where it's cooler, and they have more of that climate, to southern France, where it's definitely like. You know, more like, you know, like an Italian or Greek, where it's a lot warmer and so forth, or Spain, let's say. So that's one reason I've always found France very fascinating as a country, is that for a size of the state of Texas, it has one of the very unique climates of variations, you know, from north to south and even east to west. You know, from southwestern France in the mountains to eastern France, it's more like Germany or the Alps and that type of climate. So this is the Cairn of Bonaeras. We'll pause here and pull this up. Alright. Yeah, see, I've never been over this part. So is this a chateau? Oh! Oh, crap. I need to get really low to see anything, probably. So, we're just gonna... Actually... This plane will not crash now. Thank God. Let's see how low... Let's see if we can get... Yeah, unfortunately, this is something I need to be really low. I apologize. Alright, I'm gonna get back in the plane. Alright, so I looked this up real quick. This is actually a very... It's like an old monument. It's kind of... See this? It's kind of... There you go. Well, not monument. It's like apparently... you know, let's try one more right here. It's probably the best I knew. I didn't realize what this was until I got close and looked it up. So apparently this is a, what do they call it? It's like Neolithic. Okay, so this is from the Neolithic period. 4,500, 3,500 BC, they're estimating. And basically, it's just as a monument. It looks like there's like little, like it was some type of structure building. I can't find much info like what they think it was. You know, it's one of the oldest man-made structures in the world, and it says presence of megalithic art. Yeah, like looks like there's like passages in there, and it almost looks like an old fort, but this is like from the 3,500 BC, so it's like, yeah, I'm like looking at this. See, 2 phases. And it's kind of interesting. There's like a lot of chambers and stuff, but I don't think they find like ruins or anything. Like as a burial ground. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was like a living area or something. Comparable monuments. There's some other monuments somewhere in this part of France, but that's pretty wild. So this is like way before the Roman Empire and stuff. So that kind of came north. But yeah, so it's kind of like an old, basically Neolithic area. It kind of makes you wonder though, because like, you know, it looks like there was a little passage here. This is almost like a little island. Now this doesn't look. Again, this is what they recreated. You know, this is all looks like it's, you know, water here, but it looks like it's very shallow. So I don't know how maybe they could walk over it easily or not. Anyway, let's get back in the plane. I need to reset my camera. There we go. All right. So that's pretty wild. Now I'm gonna hug this coast a little bit more. Now they didn't start at that spot, but they did start one of the stages right around this area in the town. And they kind of go through the countryside. And I'm pretty sure this is kind of more of the flatter part of the race. So, but anyway, yeah, that's really wild. And actually, I'd be really honest, I didn't know that was there. Unfortunately, my friendship was good. It was like a good 17 days in high school. But, you know, it's like, it made me realize, especially when I went back abroad to England and stuff, is that even though these countries, you know, again, they're not massive compared to like the United States, you know, where I'm from, or other parts of the world, let's say China, Russia, but it astonishes me just how much there is to see. You know, when I went through France, you know, it's like, I always knew about Paris, obviously. Maybe a little bit of Nice, you know, with and Monte Carlo nearby, because they always had some big races there. But I never but then we go through like, you know, Western France, like Nimes, was actually going to be on the route later. Sorry, not in my video, but in the Tour de France. So I really can't wait to watch that, just to see the scenes I've been to. And it's like you go to Nimes and it's like, you know, you see these old Roman architecture and aqueduct, never knew that was there until I went there. And kind of saying when I went up north, where we're gonna finish at Mont Saint Michel, never realized that was this like cool medieval town. I really don't want to describe too much yet because I don't want to spoil it to see how well they did. But it's one of the coolest things I've seen, outside like a major city. And then like on the way we did these other towns and see like a like an old church and stuff, which is pretty common. But it's like it just blows my mind how much there is. Outside, let's say the biggest names you could think on top of your head, like in Paris, you think of like the Louvre, Notre Dame, which is amazing by the way. No, but then it's like you go on the countryside and there's more areas. It's like there's so much history there. There's so much to see. Like you can easily go over. A good example is Rick Stevens. He does European videos. I mean, he's been doing it for decades. For years, at least since the '80s. And it's like he's always seeing something new. Now, granted, he's doing a whole continent, which is pretty big in itself. But it's like you think about, countless, stuff in France. And it's like you always discover something new, like today. It's like, I didn't know there was like this Neolithic monument kind of building structure that's been there for, so it's like, they at least say, 35, around 45 to 3500 BC. I mean, that just blows my mind. Alright, I'm going to try and get lower. I'm not praying down this plane. No survivors, my Bane place. It says I do call this like the Bane plane because it looks like it with CIA. Plus, I thought it'd be kind of cool just kind of hug the coast a bit, and just look at all this. Now, there are beaches up here. Actually, they're more sandy too. They're not like southern France, like Nice, where they're like rock beaches. They're mostly rocks. Not very fun either. Well, we didn't go on the beach, I'm afraid. But I don't really feel like walking on rocks on the beach. Excuse me. It's kind of cool. Do we have these cliffs here? I'm trying to think. There are cliffs in the Normandy region that there was one part of the invasion. I'm going to take a look real quick while we're flying. Yeah. I know there's like a bunch of maps somewhere. I know it's not this part of France. Yeah, Point du Hoc. What is Point du Hoc? That is the cliffs. Oh my god. Nothing's cooperating. There we go. Yeah, no, don't worry. We'll be seeing that later. Yeah, that's after. Yeah, this one we try this video. Okay. But yeah, there's other cliffs up. So those cliffs, the reason I was looking at, there's a part of D-Day they made these cliffs, but they're like up in this region. So that'd be later. That would not be in this video. Alright, we're gonna see if we can maintain this. This is probably one of the other airports I really only saw on the beaches. It looks like it's not an, it's an airstrip, but it's a pavement. It's not like a farm or anything like that. Again, it's not like a big airport. Not much around it either, like a little town here and stuff. But definitely a rural type airport. Chateau. So this is D Coast. Ah. Oh, Costa. Okay. Alright. Awesome. Huh. So this is funny. So this is the next stop. So this is called Chateau de Costa Reves. I apologize for my butchering the French language. Technically, it's not a chateau. It's actually a medieval style castle. call it a chateau. I don't know why though. Anyway, but it is a giant manor. It's been there since looks like 1800s. Yeah, it was just built in the 19th century. Let's see. I'm trying to be careful so I don't start overspeeding, underspeeding, and stall the plane accidentally. Okay, good. See, I'm looking at this just to make sure it won't screw us. You know what? Let's get closer. I'm sorry. Oh no, I guess I gotta be careful. This thing will get. Oh no. This is I've had flights in this way accidentally, so. Oh, okay, good. As long as it's like not moving much, it'll be fine. All right. Oh yeah, look at that. I wish it was a lot easier to zoom in without holding down this button. No, what about this? Ooh. Alright, that's not where. Yeah, there's the chateau. I'm gonna get as close as I can. So yeah, so this is so it was built in the 19th century. It's a boneless complex. Several extensions made over the years. So the German army did occupy the chateau. Oh, interesting. Yeah, it just seems like to be like a famous but very unique chateau. As you can tell, it's on this island and stuff. Now look at that. Look how close we're getting. Oh, you gotta love that. Ah, it didn't take too long to get down here. We got the birds and stuff down here. That's pretty wild. Yeah, you can definitely tell. This is definitely probably built in the 19th century with the stone and architecture. There's like a castle place I went to in Germany that kind of looked like this. You know, around the same time frame in the Munich area as well. So, God, that's wild. Imagine you have like your own little island. Now, what I'm curious, I guess it doesn't really show it here, unfortunately. I'm sure there's like the way this looks layout. I'm guessing over here, somewhere over here might be the docks. You know, like this kind of extends out a bit. And I guess, yeah, then you go back into the town over here. And this is gorgeous. Again, doesn't look, it looks like it's kind of not too deep. Probably a little, you know, obviously deeper here and maybe parts over here, but then it's like really shallow right through here. All right, let's reset this. All right, and we will continue on. I will say, well, this kind of cool, but
Stall.
yeah, that was my big fear, but don't worry, we're getting back up to speed now. But yeah, I did like how the French update does that. I mean, honestly, there's countless chateaus you could probably talk about in France, but it is nice to see. But it's nice to see they did some of them, and I'll be honest, that's really cool and unique. Just the way it's just like this, almost like little mini island, basically mansion you got. You know, right in the middle of these little like towns and villages off the coast. So now, no D-Day, they did not invade this part. They invaded a lot closer to the peace. But I am looking at this, it is interesting. Maybe why not? But then again, with all these islands, they probably were easy to defend. You know, it's like, okay, you got to go in this bay, but it's like, if you put cannons and stuff here, then you can easily just tack it and it gets near the land. The looks of it. Oh, that's a cool little island. Looks occupied. Alright. So, this is, now we're going to begin our, it's actually a long journey here. So, that's just gorgeous. Yeah, I'm just kind of appreciating it. Just kind of seeing kind of debating, should I take the long route and hunt this, or go over the water a bit? I think we'll just stick on the path as much as possible. You know what? I'm curious to see what the autopilot does. Just for fun. It's probably going to climb a bit. That's okay. I can have that and lower it back down. Yeah, probably around this region I can lower it down. Perfect. So, I'll be right back. I'm just going to meet myself real quick and get some more water.
Contact Rest Center on 120.15.
120.15 ANA 200. Rest Center ANA 200, 5,700 feet.
And a 200 Rest Center altimeter 29.9 to continue to Costa as planned.
Alright. Let's take a look at the cockpit. This is the one downside of this plane. The cockpit view really sucks. This is probably, I mean, the sides aren't bad, but the front's like, yeah, you kind of have to do that. Yeah. But it is a fun, as I said, I don't use this plane too often, but it's kind of fun to use once in a while. Base, I wonder if that's a French, looks like a French Army base over there. I guess they're Air Force. So I say just let the autopilot kind of do its thing, kind of enjoy the coast. You know, since now we kind of covered some bases, let's put the live weather back on for a little bit, see how that looks. Oh god, no. Nope. Nope, no. Look at that. The autopilot straight. It's like apparently really stormy and windy. Back a few minutes. That's weird. Fun to find that. That's not the point of this video, though. The point of view is to see stuff, not see nothing. Yeah, so it's going to be the water part. It shouldn't be too long. It's not far. It's probably going to be an extra 5 minutes of this. Actually, you know what we can do? We'll just do it for fun. This is the part of the video I'm going to be rambling a bit. Oh yeah, look, you can see the coast right over there. It's not going to be fun. So anyway, so kind of back to, kind of circling back to my trip. And so yeah, anyway, so what we did, we went up north. We visit Mont Saint Michel, which is this is where the video is going to end. And then nearby is a town called Saint-Malo. Now, I think it's Saint. You know, let me just pull it up to be safe. I don't want to actually give you bad. Well, a lot of this is just recollection, but I don't want to give you like very incorrect information. You know, I want to at least be in the ballpark. So, let's give me a second here. If you're wondering what I'm doing, it's basically I have a full moist. Yeah. So, Saint Malo, we're actually going to go over it a bit, which I'm going to try and control the plane before that. Let's see. Yeah, so Saint Malo is right around here. So somewhere, I'm going to keep the map up for the entire time. Right around here, I'm going to retake control and get lower. And well, I know that it has marked. I did not see it on the overview map, but this is Saint Malo, and that's where we stayed. I want to say, I think we did Saint Malo, then Mont Saint Michel, because it's like Saint Michel's east of there, and then we continue up north. Then we head to another area in Normandy where we stayed. But what's so cool about Mont Saint Malo, again, we'll see how well this does in terms of like the AI. It was very like a medieval town. It was really cool. Like it was very stone, and it was cool. So we were there in June, like late June. So I'm recording this in July. It actually works kind of well when I was over there. You know, the weather won't be too different right now. It was cool. I mean, I had a jacket on or like a long sleeve and jeans most of the time. I was in southern France with shorts and a t-shirt or a short sleeve shirt, whatever. But there, I actually had to wear like fall clothing almost, or like spring clothing. You know, it was cool. And it wasn't like cold, but it was like in probably in the 50s, low 60s, cloudy, a good chunk of the time. Luckily, nothing like today with these crazy storms I'm seeing in this whole region. But, you know, it was like, in a weird way, it blew my mind, because I was 18 at the time. I'd never seen that type of climate in June in my head. You know, I lived in Missouri, and it was always hot and humid, or like a day, warm and very tolerable humidity. You know, that's just the Midwest for you, and there's a lot of other parts of the world, but definitely the Midwest. So it was like the first time I'm like in the summer, like truly the heart of summer, wearing long sleeve clothes. You know, not just like a rain jacket or something or shorts. Like it's actually too cool to wear like shorts and short sleeves. You know, unless the sun was out, they may wear a polo and jeans or something. So it really blew my mind. And in fact, this was like a really cool port town city. I wouldn't say it's a town right there off the coast. And you know, there's like, you know, I think we did see some ships in the region and so forth. Okay, I'm gonna take control now again. But it was so cool. I mean, now in terms of the town and stuff, there's so much there. Honestly, not like in that regard. You know, where it's like, where you know, like there's like all these sites and stuff. No, it's just like a town we stayed in, but it was very beautiful. I really like this region. It was gorgeous and like, and you know, it's not too hot. And you know, looking at like, you know, let's actually put today's weather and see how it's doing. Making sure I don't crash this plane in the process accidentally. Well, it's actually going to be storming there, so I got to keep that in mind. Okay. Well, this here just says cloudy and rain, but I look at the temperature the next few days, 63, 66, 65, 64, cloudy, rainy, cloudy, rainy, cloudy, rainy. Sun on Friday, allegedly. So, but if I pull up, I'm just keeping an eye, so I'm doing the next advance. But if I'm just pulling up some information right now, besides like the actual, like, I just want to get the climate. Yeah, so, also I should say, this is the Brittney part of France. So yeah, I'm going to talk about regions, the Provence, so I forgot. This area is called the Brittney part of France. I have a little more of that in a second. I just want to get this climate real quick. Yeah, but here's a good example. The average, that's average high. Sorry, that's record high. The average high in January is 47 points. This is 48 degrees. Average high in July is 71. So there's a difference in summer and winter, but it doesn't get super cold. It's not going to be in the 20s. Like in Chicago, our average high is 32 to 34 in January. Which in my view, that's just completely honest, and apologize for that, because that's complete bullshit. It's either fucking 10 degrees or it's 30, it's 40 degrees. And, whatever they do, and we have all these random fluctuations, and the average is like, quote, 32. In reality, it's either fine or it's horrible. It's freaking horrible. But there, it's very climate. And obviously, they have record highs in low 90s, but the average is in the 60s in the summer, upper 40s in the winter. There's some other regions in the country like that. Obviously, not this year with the massive heat wave that's been out west, but you think of the Pacific Northwest, it's not a climate like that. A lot of parts of Great Britain are like that. You know, it won't get too, you know, again, it never gets too hot or too cold. You know, it'll get cool, chilly, you know, and they'll have some heat waves and stuff. It's in that kind of very temperate range. So you know, very, very tolerable. You know, from a climate perspective, I really liked it. That said, as I got a little, I probably would like a little warmer and a little more sun. That's the downside. It's usually very cloudy up here because of the channel and so forth. But, you know, that's the type of climate it is. All right, now I was going to say, oh yeah, I was talking about it's in Brittney. I forgot about this actually, because I remember buying like a keychain or something years ago. I think I lost it. This is when high school and so forth. Yeah. So Brittney is northwest France, and then the next region. Actually, so Normandy, we call it Normandy. Obviously, you think of D-Day. It's not a town. That's a region of France, and then west of that's Brittney. I know there is actually a lot of history in the region. I want to say, is this because they were Britons one time? This gets really... Oh, I'm trying to think what's the best way to really word this. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Now we're reading this. Now I remember why it's kind of an interesting... So, Brittney actually used to be very Celtic. You know, they're called the Britons, which is funny. If you think Britons, you think of Britain, not Northwest France. But think about it, this is not the channel. It's not that far to those islands. Anyway. But it's mostly a very Celtic, it is a Celtic region, or was, I should say. I'm sure there's still some of that heritage, but obviously, you know, so much has changed over the years. But eventually they end up fleeing, yeah, now I remember. Then the Dark Ages came. Yeah, so the Anglo-Saxons invaders pushed them pretty much out to Great Britain. So they really fled to like west and southwest and their own to the island, you know, to their own island, to Wales, Cornwall, and so it is that today. So Brittney shares a historic culture of other Celtic regions of northwest Europe before the Spain and Mediterranean region. Brittney covers. Yeah. That's it. I remember it's the Anglo-Saxons kind of pushed them out. I remember kind of reading about that now. So. Again, what I'm telling you about, very, 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 very broad base of history, not going to the really deep here into the weeds. But I remember that there was something, and now I do remember that they talked about that, how it was kind of like a, you know, it's like, you know, the Anglo-Saxons really kind of push out the Britons, the Celtics out of this region. And it kind of makes sense. A lot of similar climate between that and think of the great British Isles. Actually, part of Normandy as well, but it's a little different over there in terms of their region. But again, that's kind of what I mentioned earlier, why I love about when I travel to Europe and travel abroad to these other countries, is just how much there is in just like this one little state and region. You know, it just blows my mind. So, but yeah, so this is I'm trying to think what side. St. Malo's on this side. Yeah, there's the ports. I remember seeing some of the ports and stuff. It was really cool. I see a track down there. It makes me wonder if that's horse racing or high school. So imagine you go to school there, you're just like a block away from the channel. I was about to say ocean, but that would be correct. It's kind of cool they put this in Flight Sim, just put like populate some boats out there to give you a sense of like what's happening. It looks like I'm having some lag right now too, and I apologize. But yeah, I'll do a quick pause here, maybe let the game catch up. Alright, that's better. Yeah, why not? Just kind of do a little... Yeah, so this is St. Malo. It's actually not bad, yeah. It's not big, but it's a decent little size. And when you're in France, the nice thing... Or, sorry, let's say most of Europe. see, they're not wide streets. They're not these big boulevards and crap like that. No, it's like it's all tiny. You know, these are old towns, old populations. You know, and you can get around easy, walk around. There'd be so much stuff. You'd be walking just from, let's say, here to here. Maybe, let's say anywhere, I'm really guessing here. Let's say 15, 20-minute walk, maybe 30 tops. You know, you pass by so many shops, restaurants, cafes, you know, people were living and stuff. And then you get here and you get this beautiful view of this old, like, harbor with these boats. Excuse me. You know, and then it's like, grab a bus, a few minutes, you get over here, and you just, you know, you're looking north towards England eventually, or, you know, the UK, you know, across the channel. So no, it is really cool. And I'm looking here, very autopilot. I can tell there's not much really to say, or show, I should say, you know, from the auto-generated. But the point is to give you a sense of the layout, just how, it's not that big, but you kind of tell, like, you can just tell this is a good little docks here, so you can tell a lot of boats probably go through and out here. If this is accurate, I think it is. There is like a lot of yachts and stuff, so people will park and, you know, kind of go out and just enjoy the water. But then you can also kind of go inland a bit, come back out, you know, just kind of enjoy this region. This looks like a horse racetrack. I'm not kidding. It might be. I'm not gonna look it up. I don't think it's that important. It's all but yeah, this is just like, this is where we stayed at. This little town. Fortunately, I can't tell you remember where exactly. I do remember we were not far from the water. I don't know if it was like up here. I want to say I remember seeing some docks. I want to say we're in this region right around here. Because I remember seeing like some docks and stuff. But again, this was 14 years ago. All right, let's reset. Perfect, and we'll end this soon. Get to the final destination. So yeah, no, this is it. I'm just gonna do one more, but I'd fly through here. But yeah, you know, good sized little town. You know, probably, I don't know. I think it says, you know, 30, 40,000. Let's see here. So maybe a minute here. Pull it up. Saint-Malo, yeah, 46,000 as of 2018. So, yeah, I remember it wasn't that big, but it's a nice sized little city. It's funny because, again, this blows my mind. Was 18. So I was living in Jeff City at the time, which is the state capital of Missouri. It's not that big. It's like 45 to 50,000 roughly. If you include some of the other towns nearby that aren't in the city limits, you know, let's say push it to 55, maybe 60 tops. You know, depending on how far out you want to go, that gets very debatable in that region. But let's cap it out at 50-ish thousand, roughly. So that town's around the same size in terms of the population of that town. And yet there's so much more. You know, you have all these docks, people coming in from, you know, I wouldn't say around the world, but other parts of Europe, tons of little, like, cafes and restaurants. And it just shows you just how much different the culture is, especially because you go to like these areas and parts of Europe, especially these towns and stuff. There'll be areas, there's no really drivable cars. It's all walking. There'll be like almost like a little center area or like a small square, not massive. And there'll be like all these little restaurants with tables outside, little you know, carts and stuff. Like, it's just so cool, just how like there's so much going on in a small area. Especially compared to, like, you know, unfortunately, like parts of the U.S., you know, you have these small towns and stuff. But it's like, you know, you go outside maybe like a local restaurant or bar, it feels pretty dead. You know, there's not much, you know, outside like a festival, obviously, something maybe like an annual thing going on that side. You don't really see, like, you know, like a little center where it's just like a bunch of outdoor dining stuff. And I've seen that in parts of like bigger city suburbs, like up here in Chicago, we have like Arlington Heights and so forth that has, like, they've blocked off a couple streets, and it's like all outdoor dining, a little walking area. I've seen that in parts of St. Louis. But again, you don't see it in small towns like the size of like that, like you do in Europe, basically. And it's kind of a shame. It's really cool. You know, I think it does kind of create a more definitely like a unique culture and community feel that I wish we kind of had here. And personally, in my opinion, wish we had here. Believe it or not, that's another player out there. We don't see his plane at all, so he's still pretty far from us. Like, I don't even see what height he's at, but he's out there. But I do see, so up ahead, is where we want to go. Is Mont Saint Michel. I believe I'm pronouncing that right. You kind of see it looks like it's in the water. That's because it is. Like I said, it's going to get really cool as we get closer, so enjoy it while we do the build up to the finale here. So, and I'm not kidding, this has been one of the feelings I really would want to see in Flight Sim and see how they did this. I'm trying my best to not have issues with this, the height and speed of this plane. It's been a little more difficult now than earlier. I don't know why, but I think they did put some more wind over, even though it's on scattered clouds. They put some wind off the channel here. Actually, this got technically part of the channel. Yeah. I always get, it's like, when I see this like little disc, they call it peninsula or whatever. I don't know. But this is the channel, because up here is important. I know there is a British update that I never really talked about. Most of the time, like, unfortunately, it's like, they didn't really include Scotland, I think, or at least the parts of Scotland I really want to check out that I've been to, so it's kind of been a little frustrating. I think it's something maybe down the road. I can do the line. I'd study abroad online. I do have a lot to talk about around that city. Again, it's just kind of... I've been debating how to do it, and I never really figured it out. Again, you know, I've been really... I wouldn't say... Project comes off as lazy. It's just like I get so wrapped up in a lot of other stuff that I'm not like the most dedicated to videos. It's just kind of when I'm in the mood to do one or got time to. So I've been staying pretty low. Yeah, I gotta be careful because I'm looking at my speeds as well. We're actually a lot lower than I thought we would be. I'm not sure what this is, like March or something. I don't really remember that at all. I do know, so as you kind of tell what's happening, I'm going to go more detail in a second, but one thing that does occur here, there's going to be like a road or path here. It will be flooded at times because it really varies on the tide and time of the day, you know, the tide and the moon. So you will see like water kind of come in and out, and you see that in other parts of the world, but definitely through here. Also up in Scotland, I've seen that where you see the beach, you know, it'd be like, you know, the size would vary quite a bit the time of day depending on the tide. Oh yeah. Just really trying to do this as best I can without this stupid error message popping up. Alright, stop. Sorry, I'm just looking at those meters. Okay. Stop, slow. That won't slow down. That's not good. Sorry, I just want to make sure the stupid thing does not... Okay, I think it's stable. Good. I will actually, like, say critical error, like you have, like, a plane crash because when you do showcase, because it's still acting like it's moving. It shouldn't. It should stop. Anyway, this is what I want to show you. So it's like a big church / medieval town. They do kind of put the road, but it doesn't look that nice. And they keep it elevated, which in reality is kind of like a mound. It's not a bridge, it's like a mound. So kind of like dirt, you know, elevated, but it will get flooded out during the tide certain times of the day. Not too bad. I think it doesn't last too long, but it will be like closed off briefly. But yeah, so this is Mont Saint Michel. So this is like very cool, kind of like a medieval town. This is like a big church in the middle, you know, built high up, and it's like a big town, very touristy now. Obviously, no one really lives there all around. Obviously, I'm on medium, so it's not the most detailed graphics. And again, it looks like they just focus on the church and not much like on here. But yeah, you kind of come in here, and it's like a cool... It really felt like going back in time. Like, this is a very cool town, you know, that was set up around this church. All stone. You know, now it's like restaurants and shops. It's all touristy now. But you kind of go there, and at least they kept the buildings and renovated and keep the look. It was like going back into, like, the medieval ages. You know, very tight, you know, just kind of, you know, pretty crowded too. You know, you walk around, it's not like it's a wide open space. You know, you think of like some areas around the U.S. or other major cities. You know, it was like very tight, cramped, almost alley-ish, I would say, but not quite. A little bigger than, let's say, an alley. And you kind of walk up these hills until you get to the church, which, you know, I think they had elevators and way to get there, you know, make it accessible for everyone nowadays. But yeah, you kind of go through the town. There's a lot of cool stuff, and you read about the history of this region and this church. But yeah, so it's like they built this basically on this little island, this little mountainous island, basically. So let me pull up. You know, again, when I'm talking about, it's mostly what I remember. I'm gonna pull up a little bit here of Mont Saint Michel. Yeah, so it's a tidal island, as I said, which makes sense. So this path will be non-accessible at times. So, blah, 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 blah. Oh, this I didn't know, is a UNESCO list of the World Heritage Site. Over 60 buildings with the commune are protected in France as monuments. That's pretty wild. Yeah, so the tides vary greatly at roughly 14 minutes, 46 feet between the highest and low water marks. I'm not joking. Man, we went as the low part, so there's not really much water here at all we saw. But then other times I've seen pictures, it's like completely covered. So it's pretty wild, honestly. And it's like a, okay, so it is marsh. So there's salt marshes around here, as you can kind of tell. That's so wild. They did a good job kind of getting this part too. They're keeping the water for obvious reasons, but they did a good job at least trying to show you what is here with the water. So, well, so I have to apologize. I have to stand corrected. This is a bridge now. This wasn't. So this, I just looked this up. They built it in the mid to 2010s. So before that, it was a road, but it was like just like a elevated, you know, kind of like a little levee road. You know, it's like a little hill, put the road on top. It's gonna be flooded at times. I actually did not know that. Is so wild. So they actually built a bridge here, so they keep it up, so I don't have to worry about the tides as much anymore. Wow. I thought they just did that because it was just the AI thinking that, oh, this is a bridge, this can't be a road. No, it's like, no, that's, I stand correct. That's pretty wild. Yeah, opened around 2014. Apparently there was a super tide in 2015 that covered the bridge. It says it only happens about every 20 years or so. That's wild. Yeah, so, yeah, there's a Catholic church there. Modern pilgrimage. Yeah, so during the medieval, pilgrims walked from Italy, Germany, England, other parts of France. Other parts of France were known as Miquelets. Anyway, so you can follow the same routes as hiking trails and all that. I'm just trying to get more of the history. It's just more about how it's a tidal island. I don't see much why they want to build it there, though. Oh, here it is. Let's see. Okay, so it was built. Wow. So I don't know what that church is, but it's originally people have been there since around 460. So it stood since the departure of the Romans in 460. Yeah, there's a lot of history. I know more of the modern. It's obviously touristy in the major church here for the Catholic Church. Yeah, there's a lot from the Dutch of Brittney. Yeah, the monastery of Saint Michel gives support to win the conqueror. I mean, there's so much here. And actually, it was also, I think, like a defensive fort as well. There are cannons and stuff somewhere around here, I remember. Actually, I just looked this up, too. I do remember this now. There are some... Because it is kind of, like, pretty defensive. You think about this region. You have this... You overlook, like you think of where people may land and stuff, be around this area, this little, kind of, I guess, bay, or, you got rivers, stuff, and it's like, here is this, like, big tidal island that overlooks all of that. You think about putting stuff there, you can get a great vantage point. And this is, basically when they, have issues with the, 100 years of war with England. Yeah, that makes perfect sense why they put cannons here. So it looks like they built the church around the 15th century here. Yeah. Yeah, so they used, in World War II, the Germans used this church as an outlook post from the channel. Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Pretty wild, though. Yeah, the Order of Saint Michel in 1469. He attended the Abbey Church of Mont Saint Michel, became the chapel for the order. Because of the great disappearance, the attention could never be realized. So they did have the Abbey there for a long time. Let's see, I'm going to pull up one last thing just to see when it was built. The Abbey. Yeah, I'm just curious when the Abbey was built. Here we go. 1523 was completed. So yeah, so it started beginning. Yeah, so what's this groundbreaking 10th century? So, but again, as I said, this area was used a lot of different stuff. But the Abbey, this Abbey itself, was completed by 1523, and it is gorgeous in there. Very medieval. You know, definitely a different time of history in the world. Let's go around a little bit, and then I'll probably end the video here soon. Yeah, I remember this. Again, this is obviously, you know, from a distance. I remember seeing this, like, kind of courtyard. It looks like something like Game of Thrones or something where it had, like, all these little, I think, little arches and stuff, and it's just, like, very cool. I would say, yeah, if you're a Game of Thrones or, like, Harry Potter and stuff, you want to come to this place one day. It feels something I like, you know, definitely medieval fantasy and so forth. But, you know, this was definitely, you know, this was actually a real place. There was a big, you know, a lot of history with the church and stuff, but also with history of the 100 Years' War and so forth. So, all right, get back. All right. So looks like there's an airstrip over here. Let's just land there. Oh God. Oh no. I didn't expect that. You know what? Let's see if no one talks, it might be okay.
Lima Foxtrot Romeo Whiskey traffic ANA 200 3 miles southwest 500 feet inbound to land runway 21.
Okay.
Lima Foxtrot
There's no
Romeo
one there
Whiskey
talking.
traffic ANA 200 3 miles southwest 1,000 feet inbound to land runway 21.
You know what? We're just gonna wing it. I didn't actually expect to be landing anywhere, to be honest. Yeah, that looks like a grass field. Oh, I think there's something there. That's not true.
Landing here. Stall.
And that's not gonna go well. Oh, I screwed the ending up, but I'm gonna keep it in. So, anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. I just lost complete control there. I should have kept the engines on. I didn't. So that's what happens. Again, I have not flown that plane much at all, so it's so, you know, I feel more comfortable now with the Airbus 320 or the you know, Bombardier. I've been trying that. I got the 787 Dreamliner now. I haven't tried much of that yet. So, but anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that, especially just seeing the Mont Saint Michel. And again, I could have made this video just start talking about the same thing for 35 straight minutes. I just want to kind of show you something, because to me, it's just the way it's there and set up as this tidal island just blew my mind. And just like I said, it's like going back into the past and so forth. So, but anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Next one I do, whenever that would be the Normandy region. I do have a lot